So despite the uncertainties caused by the pandemic, Jamaicans overseas are sending money home to their loved ones. The Bank of Jamaica's Remittances Bulletin showed a 30% spike over the last 6 months. And to help us explore the relationship between remittances and the economy, we invited a professor of internal business at the University of the West Indies, Dr. Denzel Williams. Morning, Dr. Williams. Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Hi, good morning, Neville, and good morning to your co-host, Simone, as well.
Hi, I hope all is well with you and your family, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Are you not surprised? Because I said I was a little surprised that, yeah, things are tough here, but things are tough abroad too. Are you surprised that so much money is still coming to Jamaica and more than normal, it seems?
No, I'm not surprised at this stage, Neville, because what you see is of the remittance inflow that we have, about 67% is coming from the United States. Remittances up, but you'd expect that because a lot of the people are not traveling now. There is also stimulus check that they're getting, and so that provides them with some sort of liquidity that they can spare. Remember, a lot of them who would be traveling and doing other things, rather than doing that, they will now send that to their families and stuff in a place like Jamaica. So if you look at our remittance figures, for example, 90% of our remittances come from 4 major locations: the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and Cayman. And now those are places where a lot of Jamaicans would have gone. And the idea of them going there is to make sure that they're able to get some employment and send back whatever they can to their families. So whatever little that they have, they will still spare it for their families. So I'm not surprised that remittances would have been up in that regard.
And how does that equate, or what does that equate to for us, Doc? Because usually our biggest revenue earners are remittances, tourism. Not necessarily in that order, is it tourism, remittances? I know remittances is usually in the top 3. Now that our revenue from tourism is ostensibly almost wiped out, what does this mean for us on GDP?
Well, that's a good question, Simone, because what you're seeing here, I may say that remittance is a blessing in disguise, because what you need at a time like this, when unemployment is hovering at about 13%, I think it's about 12.8%, what you need right now is for people to have money in their hands. Without them getting money in their hands, then the truth is that you're not going to stimulate the economy the way that you want it to be stimulated. And so remittance has been a blessing to us in the sense that what we have now is another source that is providing income into the hands of people. When you look at it as well, it has been a blessing, because when you look at our current account deficit, for example, what the remittance has done is to provide us with enough liquidity so that our exchange rate doesn't have to get out of control. As you would have seen, while tourism earnings have been wiped out, remittance has been increased significantly. Similarly, while exports have been stable, and we still have a high import bill, the remittance is able to support those kinds of things as well. So as a result of that, some of the economic fundamentals are still not out of whack, because we have this significant inflow. And as you pointed out at the top, that it is even more than last year. We're running about 38% more than we were last year. This has been a blessing for us.
What about increased risk, though? Because we always talk about over-reliance on one particular sector or segment. We spoke about that with reliance to food when the import bill was high, and we're looking at ways out of this situation with our local farmers and COVID. I mean, diversification is a good thing, right? But what happens, Doc, if we end up with this increase of 30%? We're looking at the US, we see cases getting high again and things becoming increasingly bad. Is this over-reliance on remittances something that is sustainable, or should we be looking, skeptically at what could happen if folks abroad run into a situation where they don't have the expendable funds?
Yeah, right. Any risk analysis would tell you exactly what you've just said is correct, because over-reliance on any single source of revenue is not a very good thing at all. But as I said, in a circumstance like this, it is a blessing for us. But we can't rely on remittances, to kind of stimulate and grow the economy, because it is going to be a significant function of how other markets, as I said, the top 4 markets that I just spoke about, United States, Canada, United Kingdom, and also the Cayman, how things are operating there. Right now, as we see it, we are very uncertain about where the virus is going in terms of the United States. There's prediction now that you may have up to 500,000 deaths by April. Now, the truth is that if that economy tanks and tanks significantly, what you're going to see is, although you're getting remittances, it is not going to be as significant as you're seeing now. 67% of the remittance flow that I spoke about comes directly from the United States. Now, in essence, what you're saying there, we usually have a saying in Jamaica, when the US sneezes, we catch a cold in Jamaica. Now, that's a very, very important relationship there, because if things don't go well there, then you're going to see significant fall off in Jamaica. So what we need to do is to now starting to think about alternative source for foreign exchange. And a significant part of that we have to look at is, how are we going to use the creative economy to generate significant foreign exchange for us? That is an area that is underexplored. And we now need to start seeing what is our creative strategy, using information communication technologies, using the knowledge set of our people and the creativity. How are we going to use that to sell to the rest of the world so we can gain foreign exchange? That's an area that needs to be explored, because we cannot continue to live on remittance for any long time. But in the short term, it is indeed an important thing for us right now.
Yeah. To simplify it, Professor, and I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong, it helps our economy because I send money to Simone from foreign and then she spends it in Jamaica. And that's really how it helps the economy, doesn't it?
Yes, it helps to stimulate the local economy because, as I said, it puts money in the hands of the ordinary people. And importantly, what the people are doing with that money is not so much investing, but for consumption. So what you do now is that you use that money to buy things, pay your light bill, buy the things from the farmers, go to the corner shop and buy stuff. And that's an important thing, because if you should deep dive into the remittances, what you're seeing is that it is really sustenance. It is money that is sustaining people.
Yes, most of it is spent on food.
Yeah.
Food,
yes,
basic food.
Significant portion is spent on food and those things. And that's what I'm saying. With unemployment so high, it is really, really an important thing right now that is actually helping to sustain the Jamaican people.
Absolutely.
You said earlier, well, Sim asked the question, if things get really bad in the United States, and you already, we've all said what we've heard that might happen. How do you feel about all of this? Do you think that things will get much worse before it gets better, which will hurt remittances in the long run?
To be honest, if I were to make a conjecture about this, I would think that I don't think that it will get very, very, very bad, given that what we are now hearing is that there is a vaccine on the horizon. It depends on what their vaccine distribution policy will be. It is also going to be dependent on what happens on January 20, when this administration changes and the new administration comes in, how they're going to actually manage the pandemic in that regard. We have now heard signs from the designate administration that they're going to be ramping up things in terms of mask wearing and those kinds of things. So it can engender some confidence, and you can see things getting better. But it's all going to be a function of how the vaccine distribution is handled over the next, I would say, 50 days or so.
Okay.
Yeah, good insight. Thank you very much there, Prof. Appreciate it.
Stay safe and have a great holiday season.
Thank you. Yeah, and bye-bye.
Professor of International Business at UA, Dr. Denzel Williams.
Boy, I tell you. All right, folks, we're going to take a break on Smile. There's more on the other side.
We kind of can't do without remittances.
No, we can't. I think it's like $2 billion US last year. And if this year we're clocking at 30% above, then really is a lifeline for many families, because as Prof rightly said, many families use it just to be able to feed themselves. Food insecurity is a big thing here. So.
Just before we go, I want to say good morning to Cheryl. Cheryl is a cashier at Jannar Wong and helped out my sis. And I love you too, Cheryl. Thank you so much for watching us here on Smile. And I love you. Have a great holiday season, all right? Soon come.